everyone, welcome to Mom Squad. I'm Maureen Kyle, and this is a show where we talk all things parenting. And nothing is more important than communication with your partner or spouse. Great communication is the basis of a happy relationship. And when we miscommunicate or have bad communication habits, our relationships suffer. So maybe this year, we resolve to improve our communication skills. Joining me to talk about it is Dr. Chivonna Childs, a psychologist for the Cleveland Clinic. So Dr. Childs, I want to talk about communication, especially in marriages. And I feel like this could apply to any relationship, but statistics are showing that lack of communication is the #1 cause of divorce when people are surveyed. I've seen a lot of studies on that. How do we get to that point? Like, is that a problem going into marriage in most cases? Is this just a problem in the crazy world we live in? What do you think that stems from?
I think it's a problem in general. I think we get so complacent and so content in our marriages that we just not stop communicating, but we don't go as deep. You know, when we're dating, we're all into each other. What do you like? What do I like?
Yeah.
You know, oh, I'm so into you. And then we get married and, you know, we start to have kids and life becomes about other things and it stops being about you and your spouse. And so the communication is sparse. The communication becomes who's taking our kid to soccer practice, who's going to pick them up from school, what's for dinner tonight, hey, do you possibly want to go to a movie? Yeah, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
It becomes those things, not the intimate conversations. Are we okay? Are you happy? What could I be doing better? You know, is my snoring bothering you? Do I snore?
Yeah.
Those types of things. We stop having the intimate conversations and we start having surface conversations. We start having life conversations. They matter, but we stop tapping into how we even got here in the first place.
Yeah.
Why we walked down the aisle. And we stop having those conversations. And so, you know, when you have kids, that can be 18 to 20 years of not having intimate conversations.
Wow.
And it can go by like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, and I feel like I could sit around with some of my coworkers and every day we're like, well, I told him this and then he didn't even listen. You know, so those surface conversations can go awry because when it's, I don't know any couple that doesn't have the, well, what do you mean we have this tonight? You didn't tell me. No, I told you last week, you know. So there's those type of situations that start to pile up and start to cause more of a conflict. So how do we make sure that even just the surface conversations go better of like communication within all of the daily routine and tasks that we need to get done?
So when I work with couples, one of the things that I suggest, and it's not just for couples, you could do this with your entire family. That will be hilarious, but just with couples alone, is have a couples meeting. And this is out of the Gotman's rules for families and couples, is once a week, sit down with you and your significant other. No phones, no tablets, no TVs, nothing. Just you and that person. And have a conversation. Hey, you know, how has your week been going? My week's been going fine. Work is this, work is that. How are things going with us? I think things are going good, or I wish we had more alone time. I would like to go to dinner more. Okay, what could I be doing better to help our relationship? I would like it if, you know, we went out to dinner more, or if we talked about this problem more, or if you paid attention to me when I was talking to you about my day. Things like that, and then it's the other person's turn to ask those exact same questions and give that feedback. And it's gonna feel weird in the beginning when you do it, but after a while, it's gonna be in your routine and you can do this passing in the kitchen. Hey babe, how are you doing? How was your day? Is everything okay? How's your back feeling? Do you need a massage tonight? Do you need me to make a massage appointment for you? What is it? Are we okay? Is everything good? Would you like to go to a movie? Are we due for our date? Again, tapping into each other and having those intimate conversations that have nothing to do with kids and rides to school and bus trips and soccer things, but everything to do with you all as a couple, and not forgetting to date each other still.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we do get so wrapped up in that kind of stuff, I'm just thinking back to past conversations that I've had with my husband when we do sit down, we go out to dinner and we talk, and then we're sitting there like, I don't know, so what do you think? How do you think soccer's going? You know, it always goes back to the kids and the, you know, this stuff. So, any suggestions to get out of those type of topics, to go even deeper, you know, maybe about feelings, or do we sit down and talk about the actual relationship, or do we read a book and have like a mini book club? Like, what do you think is the most effective?
There's a lot of things that you can do. So inevitably the kids are gonna come up. You love your kids,
Right.
You made them together. They're a part of your life. So you can talk about them for a minute, but let's not let them take over the whole conversation, because then you get lost again. So how do you find yourselves? What are some memories that you share? What are some things that you can do together? Going out on the dates. I love the idea of reading a book together, or writing notes to one another each day. There are tons of games that you can buy that are couples games that you can play, that ask each other those deep-seated questions that we can't think of, you know, about yourselves, and play that game with each other. Play board games together that taps your knowledge about one another. We are still evolving as individuals as well as couples. So how do we evolve as couples? What don't we still know about that other person? We're still evolving. Our partners should know that. Are they growing with us? Do they feel stuck? Are we stuck? How do they feel stuck? How do we help them move along, if we can do that? What activities can we do together that doesn't include the kids?
Right.
You know, do we want to do rock climbing? Do we want to do zip lining? Do we want to take a cooking class together? What do we want to do that is all about us? All about us. So tapping into one another.
What do you do if one person in the relationship is an over communicator and another is an under communicator?
We find middle ground.
Yeah.
Because for the person who's an under communicator, the person who's an over communicator is probably taking them to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And so to be able to say to the over communicator, this is my communication style, this is what I need. And for the over communicator to say, okay, I know, but this is how I communicate and this is what I need. And really looking at what's the middle ground for that? Where can we go? It can't be black or white. Where's the gray? There's various shades of gray. So where can we meet in that gray area so that we have good communication? Does that mean writing it down? Does that mean putting it on the refrigerator? Does that mean leaving notes? Knowing when to have a conversation and being allowed to walk away from a conversation or an argument, because we are going to argue. You know, we're going to have that time, but when do we table it and come back, and to make sure that we come back to it? Not just say, let's just come back to it later, and then 3 months have passed and we still haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
That's going to breed resentment and anger. If I say, let's table it till tomorrow at 4, by 3:59, I want us to be sitting at the table.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about it.
Scheduling that time to talk about it. That's
Scheduling
key.
it.
When those disagreements arise, and typically, let's say it is about a miscommunication. You know, you thought this is what we were going to be doing. I thought this is what we're going to be doing, or I thought you were taking care of this and you didn't. How do you approach that in a healthy way? Like, what kind of language? Because I know when when it's your spouse, it'll be like, you didn't fold the laundry and you told me you were going to, and I have this and I have that and you didn't do it, and you use that accusatory language, which we shouldn't be doing. But how do we resolve that type of argument in a very healthy way to not cause an even bigger issue?
So first of all, just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, because we will want to lose it at some point, because we can feel like with our children, I told you 5 million times, so do you understand now? Well, there's beams coming out of my eyes.
Yeah.
So we can feel like that with our partners. And so taking a deep breath before we talk, and really thinking before we use our words. And when we use our words, I statements. I feel very angry when you don't follow through on folding the laundry. That way we're not blaming, because when we say you made me angry when you didn't fold the laundry, we're putting them in control of our emotions. They're not in control of our emotions, we are. I felt angry when you didn't fold the laundry. So now they don't feel blamed. Oh my gosh, she was angry because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And then that gives them the opportunity to be like, I am so sorry I didn't fold the laundry, but A, B, and C happened. And so now we can start to have a conversation and we can start to hear what happened. Okay, well, his foot got caught in the dryer and he couldn't finish the laundry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, oh my gosh, is your foot okay? So you see how this goes into something a little bit more calmer. Okay, well, do you need help with the laundry? What is it that I can do so that this doesn't become a problem? And so now we start to problem solve, and you're doing it together and you're working together, as opposed to you didn't do what you said you were going to do. Now they're on the defensive, and we're no longer talking calmly. The pitch goes up, the tone goes up, everything's going up, and nobody's being heard.
Yeah. So what you mentioned is empathy, like practicing that empathy. Which again, I mean, when we're stressed and we're busy and that laundry needed to get done or that kid needed to get picked up or, you know, that whatever happened, it's harder to feel empathy for the
in the moment.
In the moment, right?
In the moment.
So is there a trick that we can, you said take a deep breath, but how else do we practice empathy, especially for the people that we're closest with?
Just remembering and taking perspective. So that perspective taking. When was the last time you forgot to do something? When was the last time you didn't pick up the kid on time? Or you didn't do the laundry? What was going on for you? How do you want to be approached? If this were me, what would I want somebody to say to me? And sometimes we have to pick and choose our battles. Like not leaving the kid. We can't leave the kid. But pick and choose our battles with the laundry or the dishes or the, you know, is it that big of a deal? How, you know, how much energy do we really want to give to that? And how much energy do we want to pour into our relationship to make it better? Still wanting to be understood, still wanting to resolve it, but can we turn that anger into fuel for resolution?
Do you notice couples who exercise what you first talked about, going out on dates and having those meetings? Do you notice that they have a healthier way to get through some of those daily squabbles that pop up?
They do. It actually gets better. It's funny because they'll say, well, we didn't have our meeting. And what I'll find is they come and tell on each other to me like I'm supposed to do something. But I find that it's easier. It becomes fun that they're going to have the meeting. The dates become fun. And so what I start to hear is, well, you didn't plan the date and it was your turn to plan the date. So I don't know where we're going to go. And so the dates become fun. And so it takes down the tone a little bit. And so again, the seriousness, we can start to have fun now. We can go on these dates and we can do these things. And like I said, you can start it off with a couples meeting, but when you add in the family, the kids are going to remind you when it's time to have that family meeting. Or did you guys have your meeting like you were supposed to because you guys seem really angry? Like the kids will remind you. And so it reminds them to often listen and clarify things. Oh, you said that the grass was orange, but what I heard was the grass was kind of greenish blue. Is that what you meant? So clarifying, asking, this is what I heard, but is that what you meant? Oh, no, that's not what I meant. I meant that the grass is really orange. Oh, okay, now I understand. And so asking for clarification, looking for the correct answers so that we have better communication. And when you start to have those family meetings, you feel freer to ask for clarification because you don't feel on guard. You feel like you're being listened to. There's active listening going on. And with active listening, you're listening to hear, not to respond. You know, some people are listening to be like, okay, as soon as she's finished, I'm going to say this thing. That's not active listening. Active listening is like, okay, I'm going to listen to her. oh, that's what she meant. Okay, now I understand. Not listening to jump in and cut them off and defend that's not active listening.
It's funny you bring that up, because I was just in a conversation about that doesn't even have to pertain to couples, but everybody knows that person where when you start a story about, oh, I was, swimming this one day, somebody will cut you off and be like, I love swimming and I went swimming, so when you tend to feel like, oh shoot, am I jumping in on people? How do you exercise that active listening? Not even just for your own relationship at home, but like relationships with friends, because just there are a lot of people who are just, maybe, I don't know, is it a social anxiety or something when you're not active listening, you're waiting to make your point or tell your story?
Tons of people do it, so it is not like just a lot of people do it. I have been guilty of doing it at times.
We've all been guilty, yes.
Because we're so excited, we want to join in on that story, want to tell you my part about it. We're so excited to be talking to whomever we're talking to. What I found that is helpful for me is if I have to remind myself, okay, wait. The other person is talking. And in my mind, it's like this double Dutch, like, okay, it's not my turn yet.
Yeah.
They're still talking. It's not my turn to jump in. So I consciously am like, wait until they finish talking. There's always a pause in a conversation when you know, oh, it might be my time to jump in. Then you jump in and be like, oh yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I remember when I went swimming and blah, 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 blah. And then you can share your story. But some people feel like they might forget their point. They really want to tell you. There might be something else going on with them, social anxiety. They might have like people with attention deficit disorder constantly interrupt because they want to get there and their mind is going, so they just jump in. It's not intentional.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get their point across. So there could be a lot of reasons why that happened, but a way to calm that in yourself is to just wait for the cue, wait for the pause. And if you have to, some people put their hands in their pockets or they hold their hands, some people sit on their hands, or some people just consciously think, wait for the cue.
Yeah.
Wait till it's your turn.
Yeah. And that can happen a lot in marriage too, where there's the interrupting, or like we started talking about where you're trying to resolve something and then the person wants to jump in and say, well wait, but that's, I didn't do that, I did this. So with marriage and or whatever close relationship you have with your partner, how do you get out of that heated moment and practice active listening? Is there a trick when it is a heated conversation, not just a conversation about swimming, to take a step back and like, do we pretend like we're going to get quizzed, or what do we, how do you do that when it's heated?
So even when it's heated, it's okay to say, I'm not finished, please let me finish. And take that pause. Can I finish what I'm saying? And have that other person recognize that, oh, I interrupted. And have them take a moment back. Or if it's getting that heated, everybody has the opportunity and right to say, we need to table this because we're not listening to each other. Let's calm down for about an hour. Can we come back in an hour when we're calmer and talk about this? And we both agree to walk away. And if someone asks to walk away from the argument, allow them to walk away. Don't keep chasing and talking, and allow them to walk away. Let's calm down. But we should all be able to ask for that space. I'm not finished with what I'm saying. Please let me finish. And if that can't happen, okay, then let's table this till we both can calm down.
Same vein, though. I feel like there's two types of communicators. Ones who, if they get upset, they wait a couple of days and they stew on it. And then there's the type that are in that moment, they will tell you exactly how they're feeling, and it depends on who you are in that relationship. What do you think is the healthier way? Do we address a conflict immediately? obviously I don't think we should stew on it for days, but what's that right timing?
Again, here we are with the magic word, the compromise. Stewing on it for 2 or 3 days is called stonewalling if you're not talking to that person for 2 or 3 days. That does not feel good for the person who needs to talk, for that instant communicator, because now they're assuming all these things are wrong and we have no answers. Also for the person who needs to fix it right now at this moment, for the person who needs to process, in the moment doesn't work for them. So we have to find that medium, which is, can we come back to this? Not 2 days from now, but not right now. Can we come back tomorrow? Let me think about this. Because not everybody is an on-the-spot thinker. Some people need to take the conversation, they need to sit, they need to process, they need to think about it. And so allow them that opportunity to think about it. For those people who have all the answers right now, great. Write them down so you don't forget when we come back the next day, so that the processor has had time to get their answers together. And then have that conversation. Because neither waiting 2 days nor having a heated conversation, right, neither one of those works. But the middle ground of coming back together in a few hours or a day later at a specific time, that could work. And we've given each other time and space, and each person has been respected and heard.
At what point do couples go to a counselor? At what point do they seek third-party help?
I would say at any point, it's never too early or never too late. But when you're no longer communicating, when the house is virtually silent, when you feel like you're living with a roommate and not your spouse, certainly if you're sleeping in separate bedrooms, and it's not because of a medical issue, when you no longer feel like you're with your friend, with your best friend, with your mate, with your soulmate, it's time for couples counseling. You would be amazed at how many people are married for 20, 30, 40 years and they don't communicate. Because you should know me by now. You should know what I'm thinking. We're not mind readers. And so we always need to communicate. But ironically, that can be difficult with somebody you've been married to for 30, 40 years. And so having that third party can be very, very helpful. It can open your eyes to a whole nother relationship, a whole new relationship with your partner that you've been with for 30, 40 years. You can have a brand new start.
Dr. Childs had so much insight on how we can all improve our communication skills better. So thanks to all of you for joining me right here on Mom Squad. We'll see you right back here next time.